Alright, I've been wanting to make this video too, so let's go ahead and rank Frank Herbert's 6 Dune books. Welcome back to BG's Books. I'm Mr. BG, and today I want to do something a little bit different. So if you remember last year, I did 2 really popular videos where first I ranked my top 10 favorite Stephen King books, and then later on in the year I ranked the 7 Richard Bachman books. And so as much as I love Stephen King, my favorite book series ever is actually Dune, as started by Frank Herbert, later continued by his son, Brian Herbert, and Kevin J. Anderson. So with this video, I want to show Dune a little more love, and I want to rank Frank Herbert's 6 Dune books. And for the record, I'm very aware that there are more than 6 Dune books. There's about maybe 23 or 24 now, but I have not read any of the other ones. I've only read Frank Herbert's 6. So that's what this video will be focusing on. But yeah, I just thought this would be a good idea because lists seem to be very, very popular on BookTube, and so I kind of wanted to just give Dune a little love.
Dune.
Chapter House Dune. So Chapter House Dune isn't a bad book. I'm just going to say none of the Dunes that I've read so far are bad books. But it's just that Chapter House Dune is kind of the least interesting of the bunch. For one thing, it takes place like the furthest in the timeline. It's like Frank Herbert loves jumping around in the timeline for his Dune books. So this book takes place about 10 years after Heretics, which is number 5. And this just kind of picks up where 5 left off. And I happened to just find this one not as interesting. Not only were the characters not as interesting, but some characters that I didn't find interesting in 5 are more prominent in this book, and then some characters that I did like in 5 weren't as prominent in Chapter House. So that was just very odd to me, and again, it's not a bad book, but it's just not my favorite Dune book. It's my least favorite of the series so far, and I would have loved to see what Frank Herbert would have done with Dune 7 had he not died, because unfortunately this was his last Dune book, and it just wasn't a spectacular way to go out with Dune, your most famous series. But yeah, so at number 6, I have Chapter House Dune.
Dune.
God Emperor of Dune, Dune Book 4. And so basically the thing about God Emperor of Dune is that this is where Dune starts to get really weird. It's like you already saw remnants like in the first 3 books, or the first 2 even, and then 3 kind of got a little weird, and then 4 really goes weird. It's like, yeah, God Emperor of Dune, basically the main character from Children of Dune, Duke Leto II, or sorry, not Duke, Leto II, Paul's son, he bonded himself with a sandworm in Children, and so this picks up 3,500 years after that, where he is now not even human anymore, but instead some sort of human worm hybrid thing, kind of like Jabba the Hutt from Star Wars. And I tell you, it's just weird. And like Arrakis, you know, the desert planet, it's like now filled with like water and trees and stuff, so it's actually a nice place and stuff. But the thing about this is that it's just too weird, man. It's like human sandworm hybrid thing. He's called the Tyrant. Arrakis is not at all recognizable from what it used to be. It's like, wow, it's so weird. But I mean, yeah, again, it's not a bad book, but it's just so weird, and I love weird stuff. You guys know by this point I love weird books, but God Emperor of Dune was just a little too weird for me. And yeah, so I mean, God Emperor of Dune is in 5th place for my least favorite Frank Herbert Dune books. But I mean, again, it's not bad. It's just very weird, and this is where the series started to really go off the walls.
Dune.
Heretics of Dune, Dune Book 5. So this one is, of course, the direct predecessor to Chapter House Dune and the direct sequel to God Emperor of Dune. And so this one takes place about another 1,500 years after the fall of Leto II from God Emperor of Dune. And it follows a whole new cast of characters. It follows a new Duncan Idaho, who's like a teenager this time. And instead of our main characters being on Arrakis or some other version of Arrakis, our main characters are actually some of the Sisterhood, the Bene Gesserits, from what Lady Jessica was in the first Dune book. Anyway, so that's kind of our thing, and then, stuff happens, plot stuff. And the reason why it's in number 4 instead of higher, even though I do like this one more than a lot of other people say, is that not only is it just a little weird, but this is where things start getting explicit. Like, I never really considered Frank Herbert to be an explicit writer. Like, he'll occasionally reference, like, adult activities and stuff in his other books, because, like, in the first one, Paul was, like, 15, so he was growing up and starting to experience that. But towards the end of Heretics, there is a really weird scene where Duncan Idaho basically gets, like, I guess, assaulted by this girl, and there is a term, beef swelling. Do I need to say more? Beef swelling. Anyway, but yeah, a lot of things that saves this is that, of course, that some of my favorite characters from the series are in this book, like Lucilla, I think her name is. She's one of my favorite characters. Duncan Idaho is a teenager. He's probably my favorite version of Duncan Idaho. And so, yeah, there's just a lot of interesting things going on in Heretics, but unfortunately, because it comes after God Emperor and precedes Chapter House, it's kind of overlooked, because by this point, Dune has already just gotten too weird for people to go on. But anyway, yeah, Heretics of Dune comes in at 4th place, and yeah, I just think it's a really interesting book, and it has some of my favorite characters in the entire series.
Dune.
You guys probably already saw where this was going, but it is Children of Dune, Dune Book 3. And so, Children of Dune is the finale to the Paul Atreides trilogy, as you call it. This is the final book where Paul is like a major character. And basically, this picks up about 9 years after Dune Messiah, where Paul has had children, and so basically after he kind of left for reasons I will not get into in this video, but I covered reviews for all the Dune books, so please go watch those if you need more context. Anyway, in Paul's absence, his children are kind of taking over his empire. Well, actually, his sister is, but she's not kind of the best ruler in the world, and so the children kind of have to wrap that up. He has twin children, one named Leto II, and the other one named Ganima, I believe. And so, yeah, basically they just go after House Carino, I believe. And so, yeah, Paul does make an appearance, though. He does come back and stuff. And then, yeah, it's actually quite entertaining, although I will say this is where Dune starts to get weird. I mean, Dune has always been weird, but this one especially is where it starts getting weird. It's like, as I mentioned in the God Emperor of Dune section, Leto bonds with a sandworm in this one, and so gets like sandworm powers, I guess. I don't know. It gets really strange. But yeah, either way, Paul Atreides is my favorite Dune character, as you could probably imagine. So just having him obviously makes the books a whole lot better. And so for that reason, Children of Dune, Dune number 3, is my 3rd favorite Dune book.
Dune.
Dune Messiah, Dune Book 2. So Dune Messiah basically kind of carries over a lot of the stuff that were dealt with in the first Dune book. It takes place about 12 years after Paul Atreides is the Emperor of the Universe, and he's married to the Princess of Rulon, but he has children with Chani, his true love. And so basically this one is just kind of dealing with the fallout of the first Dune. It's like at the end of the first Dune, Paul becomes the Emperor of the Universe. And so this one is basically him trying to deal with being an emperor, but also being seen as like a godlike figure at the same time, and his struggles with that. So it's a very interesting look at kind of what power can do to people, and the idolization of like fake god beings or something. It's very interesting, really. It's like people kind of give this one some flack for following up on an incredible book of the first Dune. And some people will even say it's not as good as Children of Dune, but I have to disagree. Dune Messiah is just a really good follow-up to the first Dune, and it may not be the best Dune book ever, for obvious reasons, but it is certainly my second favorite Dune book, and it is a great follow-up to an incredible book. But this book just stands on its own because of the messages that were already in Dune. It doubles down on them in here, like false godhood, power, all that kind of stuff, and it just really explains it in a way that people can understand. So for that reason, Dune Messiah is my second favorite Dune book.
Dune.
You guys already knew what it was, but here it is. Dune, the first Dune book. And so, of course, Dune is just absolutely fantastic. It covers a lot of stuff like environmentalism and like religion and all this other stuff like power and control and all this stuff. And it's so good. It's very complicated, but it's so good. And Frank Herbert, I believe, spent like 2 or 3 years writing it, or even more, which, I believe, because there's a lot of stuff in Dune that I don't fully understand. He even basically made up his own language for it. Like, there were a lot of words in Dune that I've never seen before, and that I would have to look up a dictionary to find out what they actually are. But anyway, yeah, Dune is, of course, very incredible. It is the book that started it all. It is considered one of the greatest science fiction novels of all time. And just the thing about environmentalism on its own is good enough, but then you factor in the religion and the power and all that stuff. And then Paul Atreides, who was our young main character, he's destined for greatness, but he doesn't know what to do quite yet until he meets up with the Fremen. It's like, this book is just incredible from start to finish. It is quite long, yes, and it is a bit of a complicated read. But if you can get past the first few chapters and really get into the story like I did, you will just really enjoy Dune. It is such an incredible book. And not only is it my favorite book series of all time, but it's also my 4th favorite book, period. So, Dune is just absolutely incredible, and I could not recommend Dune enough. So please go read Dune. And yeah, but for obvious reasons, Dune is my favorite Dune book. But that is the end of the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. I really hope you guys enjoyed my ranking of Frank Herbert's 6 original Dune books. I cannot wait to read them again because they're all just incredible, as well as finishing the series, with 7 and 8 right here, because his son finished them. Anyway, I also want to do more rankings like this in the future, because I know that these get a lot of views on BookTube. These are one of BookTube's favorite things, I guess. And that was just what I did for Dune. I also have one coming up for Tolkien's Rings trilogy, as well as The Hobbit, so stay tuned for that very well. And then I also want to do more of ranking series, say Hunger Games or the Silo series, or stuff like that. I could even do The Giver if you guys would be interested in that. But, anyway, that is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed my Dune ranking. Please let me know your Dune rankings in the comment section down below if you have read all the 6 Dunes. If not, don't worry about it. We can just talk about Dune or just books in general. I love hearing your guys' comments and thoughts on all that stuff. But anyway, that is the end of the video. I've been Mr. BG. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below. This has been BG's Books, and I will see you guys in the next video.